Hi, it's Kevin Powers again, and welcome back. In the last lesson, you discovered the flow state. And in that neurovelocity, flow is the hidden performance state where focus becomes effortless, creativity expands, success becomes almost effortless, and where everything flows naturally. But that raises an important question. If that state is available to us, why aren't more people living there? Why do smart, talented, capable people still continue to struggle on a daily basis? The answer is simple. It's called resistance. Most people think their biggest obstacle is outside of themselves. We see that when we hear people's excuses. Economy is bad. Competition is taking most of my business. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough resources, or I lack the opportunity. But from working with people for years, I've discovered something surprising. The biggest obstacle isn't out there. The biggest obstacle is within ourselves. I call it the invisible mountain. Some people say you need to climb mountains to be successful, but you are the mountain. Until you learn to see it, you'll spend your entire life climbing harder instead of climbing smarter. When you learn to master yourself, master your mind, you're able to move mountains effortlessly. The obstacles you once had come crashing down. Until you learn that you are the mountain, you'll continue to struggle. You'll continue to put in a ton of effort and get relatively low results. Life was not meant to be a struggle. Have you ever known exactly what you needed to do, but you couldn't get yourself to do it? Every business skill can be learned, but it's taking the action once you know the skill that's usually the challenge. We often know the next step. We know what actions to take, but we just don't take the action. And that's because of resistance. Most people don't fail because they don't know enough. Most people fail because something inside them is pushing against the very success that they want. And resistance shows up in very predictable ways. Let's look inside the 5 biggest signs of resistance. The first one is procrastination. You keep putting things off. Most people are so busy doing busy work, they mistake busyness for progress, and they procrastinate on things that could move the needle in their business. They procrastinate on the hard things. They procrastinate on the things that might be painful for them to do. It doesn't mean that you're lazy, because some part of you associates this action with discomfort or fear or risk or rejection, failure, or pain in some way. If you associate a pain to the action you're going to take, you would never take it. Your nervous system is biologically programmed to avoid things that are painful. But you can change the association. If it's not physical pain, then it's a mental pain. And we oftentimes fear things like rejection. If I go up to that person or I try to make the sale, they might reject me. And that's mental pain. So the action isn't the problem. It's the emotions attached to it. The second sign is overthinking things, overanalyzing things, doing more research than you need to do, planning, preparing, thinking. Those are all avoiding action, but it's disguising itself as being smart, right? We're not taking the action, we're preparing. And some people are perfectionists, and I know I am as well. I want these programs to be awesome so they really transform your life. But until you actually listen to it, it's not going to do anything. So you tell yourself you're being strategic, but what it is, it's fear disguised as thinking. The mind keeps creating more questions, so we never face the uncertainty. Okay, the third sign is self-doubt. You start questioning yourself constantly. You wonder if you're good enough, smart enough, experienced enough, ready enough. Meanwhile, people half your talent are taking action and getting results. Why? Because confidence does not come first. Action comes first. But resistance steals that action. Okay, here's the fourth set of signs, self-sabotage. Sometimes things start going well and you build momentum and opportunities show up and somehow everything falls apart. You miss a deadline. You avoid important conversations. You create unnecessary problems. You lose focus right when success is in your reach. Oftentimes I see this as people taking 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. When they start to be successful, it scares them. Fear comes up and quashes their action. Most people would call this bad luck, but I call it unconscious resistance. We don't know why we're not taking the action. We might feel like it, or something invisible is stopping us and holding us back and sabotaging our success. The 5th sign is living without a mission. This one is huge. You wake up, you go through the motions, you handle responsibilities, you stay busy, but deep down something feels missing. You don't feel connected to a larger purpose. And without a purpose, every success feels empty. Purpose creates energy, it creates momentum, it creates meaning. And without it, your unconscious resistance grows even stronger. Now, I have an important question. Which one of those is most relevant to you? Which one holds you back the most? Which one stops you from having the success that you truly deserve and desire? Maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's self-doubt. You just don't have the confident self-beliefs to go for it 100%. Maybe you're overthinking. And that's your form of procrastination where you're overanalyzing and trying to make it perfect instead of taking the action you need. Or maybe you just don't have a mission. You haven't thought it through. Maybe you have all of those types of resistance. And if you do, it's not your fault. Before I really dialed in my mindset, all of those ran the show at an unconscious level. I didn't even realize I was doing it. So here's the thing. The specific symptom isn't what really matters. The pattern matters. Because every one of those symptoms points to the same root problem. It's internal unconscious resistance. And here's the biggest insight of today's lesson. Most people spend their lives trying to force success. But success becomes much easier when you lower the resistance. Force itself is pushing back against their own resistance. The truth is we get in our own way and we don't even realize it. And here's the most important insight of this lesson. Most people spend most of their lives trying to force success, but success comes much easily with less force when you lower the resistance within inside yourself. You could lower your resistance to such a level that success comes effortless. Think about it for a moment. What if success really isn't about pushing harder? What if success is removing what's pushing against you? What if the mountain isn't out there somewhere, the mountain is within? Because once you start moving resistance, something incredible happens. Focus improves. But it's not a forced focus. It's a focus that happens naturally. When you remove all the resistance, focus improves, confidence grows, action becomes easy and effortless. And that's how you get into the flow state, by removing the resistance and using a tool I'll show you called neurovelocity. And in the next lesson, I'm going to show you a simple process that helps you dramatically lower your resistance and enter a state of flow far more consistently. Here's what I want you to do before then. Write down the biggest forms of resistance that you've discovered today. Which ones are affecting you most? Most of our resistance is unconscious and we don't really know about it. So a good first step is becoming aware of the things that are stopping you. We often procrastinate without even knowing it. We start off on a tangent doing something totally different that won't move the needle in our business, and we really don't notice we're doing it. We can procrastinate by saying things like, I don't feel like it, or it's not the right time, or I have other more pressing things to do. So the first step is becoming aware of the resistance. Resistance is a hidden force within inside of you, detracting from your success, holding you back from the things you really want to achieve in your life. I look at resistance as a paper cup with a hole in the bottom. You can continue to fill it with hard work, but the resistance keeps leaking out. And once you start pushing and start forcing things and forcing yourself to work even harder, all of a sudden the water drains out and there's no more. And when you lower all the resistance, that paper cup can fill up and you can accomplish anything you desire. Once your resistance is gone, the mountain is gone and you can walk across it easily. Whereas when you have the resistance, you have to climb that mountain. It's hard work. It's treacherous. It's demanding, it's tough, it requires tons of energy. Whereas when you release all the resistance, it's just like walking across the mountain effortlessly. There's no force or tension, and you feel like it's almost effortless. All right, that's the end of the lessons on resistance today. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you the exact technique of how to remove resistance so you can get into that flow state where success is effortless. This is Kevin Powers. I'll see you on the next lesson.